Motor Speedway. They're lean, they're mean, they're 5 to 7 horses, a man and machine. They're 4 wide before they start to slip and slide. The Coast to Coast Racing League 350A Modifieds, Pro Late Models, and the 360 Sprint Cars.
We are live on the Coast to Coast Racing Network here for the Venom Racing Full Throttle Motorsports Small Block Modifieds here at what says Nashville Fairgrounds. Zach's going to change that here. Sorry about the hiccup. Our man Patrick Spangler, I tell you all the time, he's an unsung hero. I think I thought my upload speeds were going to be able to handle it because I had Xfinity out here after the problems last week, but I think I had that bit rate up a little too high, and I noticed the intro was lagging a little bit, so I wanted to turn down my bit rate and just make sure we have as smooth of a show as I can give you guys as the flag waves. Got a big show here tonight. I think almost 30 cars here. We'll get the actual number when drivers go out here for qualifying, and well, you know the driver who pulls out first for qualifying every single time. Here he is in that 31, Brandon Templeton. Let's see where he can park that thing here in qualifying. Trying to get all the speed he can coming to the line. Here he takes the green flag, lap number 1. D-Temp low and slow through 1 and 2. That's going to be the quick way around. And going to try it again here in 3 and 4. What's he like? What's the time going to look like? Brandon Templeton first time on the board with a 15.73. Right behind him, Michael Vitale in the 2:13 is... No, let's watch the hero here in the 39. The high side banger banging down the low side in that 39 machine. Crosses the stripe. Can Patrick improve? The answer's no, but the Ant-Man, Anthony Morano, he takes quick time from Brandon Templeton. The Brewerton Beast, P3 right now. Let's find somebody just pulling out. Tom Hazlett, he's rolling through 1 and 2. This isn't even the first lap. Or wait, no, this actually, it may be lap number 1 here. Yeah, we should get a time here from Tom. Let's see where this 57 rolls in. And we have 32 drivers, actually. Packed house here at Weed Sports. So, Merry Christmas to all of us here on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. And everybody out there watching. As he crosses the stripe. Tom Hazlett going to bring that thing home 30th out of the 32 drivers. Not going to be real excited with that, I wouldn't think, but yeah, let's go ahead. Let's take a look at our starting grid here. Heat race number 1. Let's see what we got. All right. 8 guys in the heat, so what's the deal here? We should be having... do some math here. What's 8 times 4? Let's say that's 32. That's how many drivers we got. So 4 heats, starting grid for heat race number 1, starting on the outside of row number 4 in the number 9. It's Bristol, baby. Craig Bristol into his inside, the 97 of Butch Baker. Outside of row number 3 in the 2, Harold Klump. And to his inside, the 118 of Logan Wentz. Outside of row number 2, the Ant-Man, Anthony Morano in the 32. And to his inside in the 4, Greg Parmalee. Row number 1 for heat race number 1. Starting on the outside of the front row in the 011, Randall Dixon into his inside in the 27. Justin Hazlett finds himself hitting the invert almost perfectly, and the boys get ready to play here at Weed Sports Speedway. Heat race number 1 about to get underway. Pace car pulls off. The green flag is high. It's ready to fly. 8 laps to play in the clay at Weed Sports Speedway. Heat race number 1 underway. 27 tries to get that good run on the inside, and that's what you need to do. You don't have that baby wound up low and slow, and now he slides up off that line there in the middle of 3 and 4, goes up. Don't want to do that again here. The Ant-Man, Anthony Morano, he's going to creep that thing on by. Here he comes. Anthony Morano tries to get to the inside, side by side with the 27 as they roll down the front stretch. Anthony Morano throws it in, finds the grip off, and they're side by side going down the backstretch, entering 3, battle for the lead. Whoever wins heat race number 1 will start on the front row for tonight's feature event. The Ant-Man looking good down there as battle heating up for 4th here. That's your final transfer spot on the line. Greg Parmalee in the 4 on the outside looking in. Gets a body slam from Harold Klump. Harold loses it. Butch Baker involved. And Butch, he's going to have to climb that ladder out of the B main as the Ant-Man lagging a little bit. No harm, no foul. Justin Hazlett sends it in. He's trying to reel him back in. And as we cross the stripe this time, 3 laps to go. At 27, can he find a run off the corner? Let's go on the nose here. Drives it in a little deeper than Anthony, and you see he just can't hit that tack in the middle. Floats up that half a lane too high, and Anthony Morano, that discipline on the throttle, doing an excellent job of leading the field here at Weed Sport. You got one more time around here for your front 3 as the white flag flies. Anthony Morano, if he can start this feature up front, boy, is he going to be a tough egg to crack as Randall Dixon gets into it with P2, but it looks like they're all going to hold on. As Anthony takes the checkered flag, he wins heat race number 1, followed by Justin Hazlett, Randall Dixon, and Logan Wentz. Greg Parmalee, Craig Bristol, Harold Klump, and Butch Baker. We'll see them in the B main. As we get ready for heat race number 2, starting on the outside of row number 4 in the 57, Tom Hazlett. Into his inside in the 93, Jason Butterfield. Outside of row number 3 in the 78, Jack Clevenger. And to his inside, the 56 of Randy Shreves. B-Temp, Brandon Templeton lines up on the outside of row number 2 in that 31 machine. And to his inside in the 007, James Bond, Sammy Bachman. Row number 1 for heat race number 2, starting on the outside in the 639, Dylan Kinsey. And starting on the pole in the 122, Brian Dickens. You get ready to go play 8 laps here at the Weed Sports Speedway. Don't want to let Sam Bachman find a way on around. If he can milk that bottom, he's going to find a way to get it done. Green flag high, ready to fly. 8 laps to play at Weed Sports Speedway. Well, I'm glad all of you have audio. I can see it coming over the desktop, but man, oh man, Shaggy's headset cut off here, so this is going to make it really difficult for me. As trying to hear him, able to kick it back on. There we go.
He's in a convoy.
That was crazy, and now you're hearing somehow, I think maybe my wife clicked that Spotify again. So my apologies, but hey, it's all back. We're ready to play here. Heat race number 2, 6 more trips around. Sam Bachman to the inside of his teammate in the 639. Sam Bachman trying to find a way to get around here, but just can't make up the run coming off the corner. And now he looks to his left there. Saw the 31 of B-Temp for a split second here as Brandon Templeton has got to find some place to go here. Got a quick race car, but just nowhere to go right now for that 31 of Brandon Templeton. Watching him run off too here. Randy Shreves trying to make a move there in that 56. He's in the middle, 3 wide. Butters to his inside. Jack Clevenger trying to wiggle up to the high side. Just not enough room. Jack has to lift that throttle, and we'll battle back on here for P2. Sam Bachman looking to the inside, trying to get as low as he can. 2 more trips around, and Brian Dickens loving what he sees off that rear end of the 122. He is just walking away while the boys behind him try and play. White flag flies, 1 more lap for the 122. Brian Dickens would love to put Dirt Track Bank on the outside of the front row for the start of tonight's feature. And that's exactly what he's going to do. Comes off of 4 for the final time, and he takes the checkered flag, followed by Dylan Kinsey, Sam Bachman, and Jack Clevenger. Jason Butterfield, Tom Hazlett, Randy Shreves, and Brandon Templeton to the B main. As we get ready to take a look at the starting grid for heat race number 3 outside of row number 4 in the 099, Glenn Sharp, and to his inside in the 247, Michael Vecchio. The high side banger, Patrick Spangler, takes the 39 on the outside of row number 3, and to his inside, the 7 of Bob DeGood. The Brewerton Beast lines up on the outside of row number 2 in the 513, that's Jeff Barker, and to his inside in the 051, Putt-Putt Clay Christopherson. Outside of row number 1 in the 18, Brian Lawson. And starting on the pole in the 444, Scott Rayome. As we watch the Steve King Foundation pace car pull off, Scott Rayome gets set to bring the field to the green flag. Heat race number 3 at the Weed Sports Speedway is underway. Let's go play. Putt-Putt low and slow down on the bottom. We're 3 wide already. Oh, but Clay couldn't find the run to keep it stuck down there. And now, Scott Rayome, he sends it in a little deep. He gives Brian Lawson the shoulder, and that allows him to move on up to the lead. The Brewerton Beast, Jeff Barker, he wants to get in there and play. Great qualifying effort out of him. Put that 513 P3, but with the invert, big penalty here at Weed Sports. So Jeff's got to find a way to try to move that thing to the front. Clay Christopherson able to complete the pass on Brian Lawson as well. And now Brian Lawson thinks about getting a little close to Clay there. Could have smelled what he had for dinner. Clay looking for some tacky stuff on the bottom. He's side by side with his teammate entering 3. Cross flags halfway home. 4 more trips to go. As Patrick Spangler looking to the outside. See Bob DeGood get into the back of Jeff Barker. Patrick drives around. Clean as a whistle up there on the top shelf. Can he complete the pass off of 4 side by side? Give it to Jeff Barker at the line. Clay not going away up here in the front, trying to look low, but you know when it's your teammate, you got to run him that much cleaner. And as we go on the nose, 2 more trips around, he may have to get those elbows out here if he wants to complete this pass and start 3rd in tonight's feature. He's running out of time in that 51. As the white flag's high, it's ready to fly 1 more trip around. Bob DeGood, he settled back in after the contact, but is still looking at the B main. Meanwhile, Scott Rayome drives it in through 3 and 4. Checkered flag waves. Scott Rayome takes home heat race number 3, followed by Clay Christopherson Brian Lawson and Jeff Barker to the A main. Patrick Spengler, Bob the Good, Michael Vecchio, and Glenn Sharp to the B main here this evening at Weed Sport. As you saw, the field was spread out a little bit here, though, so there we go. There's the jump, and we take a look at our fourth and final heat race of the evening here for the 358 small blocks. Starting on the outside of row number 4 in the 218, Superman Kurt Schatzer, and is inside in the 171, Jake Henry. The Canadian Alex Pomerleau lines up on the outside of row number 3 in the 97, and his fellow Canadian brother in the 075, the Philly Flyer Trevor Giroux, lines up on the inside. Row number 2 to the outside in the 213, Michael Vitale, and to his inside in the 271, Sean Green. Row number 1 for your fourth and final heat race to the outside in the 79, Dean Reynolds, and to his inside in the 83, the Spider Monkey, Brandon Dittmer. As we see, it's going to overstack here. We're going to get it fixed for you guys. I know well enough these guys. I don't need to fix mine, but the green flag is high. It's ready to fly. Dean Reynolds and Brandon Dittmer lead us off into turn 1. Brandon with a big hiccup goes from first to sixth, going down the backstretch, and Brandon, man, he's going to wish he could do that one all over again as he's pitched up to the outside. Superman involved as well, but Dino up front, not with a good lead early as the 2271, Sean Green trying to make it stick on the inside, but here comes Michael Vitale in the 213. Michael Vitale got that thing looking good on the top shelf as we might have just found transition time here. Is the top shelf going to start to come in, or is the bottom going to stick with 5 laps to go? Driver's got to figure it out here. The Philly Flyer moves on up to P3, started 5th. He's a beneficiary there of the 213's mistake just now on the high side. Michael trying to look to the inside of the Canadian Alex Pomerleau, but Alex just not leaving enough real estate. He did there on the entrance of 1, but Michael not enough to send it in. Look underneath as meanwhile out front Dean Reynolds leads the boys, 3 laps to go. Brandon Dittmer trying to rebound here. Remember, started on the pole in this 83 and now is on the outside looking in as Brandon Dittmer struggled mightily there in turn 1. He looks to the inside, though. We thought we were going to have a little battle there, but Brandon couldn't make it stick, and white flag flies one more time around for Dean Reynolds. Sean Green, he got pretty close here. He's reeled him in, but he's run out of time. Not enough time to make a move as we roll through 3 and 4. Dean Reynolds takes your fourth and final heat race, followed by Sean Green, Trevor Giroux, Alex Pomerleau, Michael Vitale, Brandon Dittmer, Kurt Schatzer, and Jake Henry to the B main. Let's go ahead. Let's bring up this starting grid here for tonight's B main. Let's see. 4 heat races. Took 4. Let's see. We should take 8 here, I would think. But we'll see. I've been wrong many times. So starting on the outside of row number 8 in the 171, Jake Henry into his inside in the 099, Glenn Sharp. E-Temp, Brandon Templeton lines up on the outside of row number 7 into his inside in the 97, Butch Baker. Superman in the 218 lines up on the outside of row number 6 and is inside in the 247, Michael Vecchio. Randy Shreves takes the 56 on the outside of row number 5 and to his inside the 2 of Harold Klump. Brandon Dittmer starts in the outside of row number 4 in that 8th and final transfer spot and to his inside the 7 of Bob the Good. Tom Hazlett takes the 57 and lines up on the outside of row number 3 and to his inside the 9 of Craig Bristol. Michael Vitale to the outside of row number 2, and is inside the high side banger, Patrick Spangler. The front row, the 93, Jason Butterfield to the outside. Greg Parmalee in the 4. Starting on the pole is, like I say here. Okay, they did extend that for me. Sorry about the drivers up front. That's why I rushed you. I was worried we were only going to do one pace lap here. You would have got a little more excitement out of me, but man, it's been good racing so far with the Venom Motorsports, or Venom Racing Full Throttle Motorsports 358 big blocks. And I'll tell you what, for guys that have had their, issues with each other, I think we all agree maybe we can credit Dean Reynolds to that. I mean, good mediator. For those guys to come together and pay my paycheck every race here Thursday night, we really do appreciate it. You guys have done a lot for the league, and definitely not enough said about those teams. As the green flag is high, ready to fly. 10 laps to set the field here. Top 8 make it to the show. Let's keep an eye. Oh, we're already having some contact here. Is the 57 involved? Michael Vecchio in the inside wall. We don't do cautions here in the B main. He toes, and just like that, Brandon Dittmer, 9th place on the outside looking in. Another rough lap number 1 for the Spider Monkey. Brandon Dittmer got the 56 of Randy Shreves to his inside, and he sees that cape flapping in front of him. Superman already up 4 spots here. He finds himself in that 8th and final transfer spot. But that thing's digging right now. He moves up to 7th. He shows Harold Klump the right rear, and he tries to complete this pass. Does move on up to P7. Now Harold Klump finds himself. Oh, contact! Bob the Good goes around. P-Tep, Butch Baker. That's going to be it for those guys. Good night. They're going to need some trouble up front as Randy Shreves inherits that 8th and final transfer spot. There's a big gap now back to Jake Henry. Jake started this thing in 16th spot up to 9th, but really had to slow down for that accident. But we're going to go on the nose here of Jake. You can see what he's got to do, and if the boys in front behave and play in the sand nice with each other, I don't think this 171 has much of a chance, but we've seen crazier stuff happen as the 93 of Jason Butterfield leading the way. Michael Vitale doesn't want P2 right now. He looks to the inside. Can he find a way to get around Butters as they're side by side through 3 and 4? Vitale leaves him plenty of room going down the front stretch. Michael Vitale with the better run off at 2, looks to the inside. Can he find a way to shut the door on Butters here coming off of 4? The 93 with a big head of steam. Give it to Michael Vitale at the line. He gets the elbows out, moves him up the track a little bit. Butters loses some traction there coming off at 2. And can Michael Vitale get it done this time as the white flag flies? One more trip around. They're still side by side. Randy Shreves, as we take a peek, then that 8th and final transfer spot. Still a big gap back to Jake Henry. They're side by side through 3 and 4. Who's going to win the B main? Michael Vitale or Butters? Michael Vitale holds on at the line. Jason Butterfield, Greg Parmalee, Craig Bristol, Brandon Dittmer, Kurt Schatzer, Randy Shreves, and Jake Henry to the B main. Wow, somebody got shuffled there because Jake Henry moved on up. Wondering if, let's see here, something may have happened to someone there on that final lap. I'm not really sure I'm going to be able to find it here, but he did. He was able to move on up. And hey, with that, we're going to take a quick break here on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. Stick around, and we'll be right back with your feature here at Wheatsburg. So we are back live on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. A little under 20 seconds here till we get ready to roll into our 24-car feature here. The Venom Motorsports, or Venom Racing Full Throttle Motorsports 358 Modifieds get set to kick off. And, well, they know I'm probably going to say Venom Motorsports Full Throttle Racing so many times this year. I will invert those so many times until it's pounded into my skull. Putt Clay Christopherson showing patience here, ripping the inside in warm-ups. He's going to be your quick time. Have to see if he can work his way on up to the front here for tonight's feature. As we take a look at the starting grid, starting on the outside of row number 12 in the 24, Jake Henry, and to his inside in the 56, Randy Shreves. Outside of row number 11 in the 218, Superman Kurt Schatzer, into his inside, the Spider-Man, the Spider Monkey, Brandon Dittmer. It's Bristol, baby. Craig Bristol lines up on the outside of row number 10 in the 9 machine, into his inside, the 4 of Greg Parmalee. Butters in the 93, Jason Buttersfield lines up on the outside of row number 9, into his inside, the 213 of Michael Vitale. The Canadian Alex Pomerleau takes the 397 and lines up on the outside of row number 8, into his inside, the 513, the Brewerton Beast, Jeff Barker. Jack Clevenger takes the 78 and lines up on the outside of row number 7, into his inside, the 118 of Logan Wentz. Trevor Giroux lines up on the outside of row number 6 in the 075, into his inside, the 18 of Brian Lawson. The 007, James Bond, Sammy Bachman lines up on the outside of row number 5, into his inside, the 011 of Randall Dixon. Sean Green in the 271 lines up to the outside of Putt in the 051, Clay Christopherson. They take up row number 4, and right in front of them to the outside of row number 3, the 639 of Dylan Kinsey, into his inside, the 27 of Justin Haslam. Dean Reynolds takes the 79 and lines up on the outside of row 2, into his inside, his teammate in the 444, Scott Rayome, starting on the front row for tonight's main event here at Weedsport Speedway. The 122 of Brian Dickens to the outside, and the Ant-Man of Anthony Morano lining up on the pole. As you see, the green flag is high. It's ready to fly. 30 laps to play in the clay at Weedsport Speedway. The 358 feature is underway. Guys beating and bouncing around. You kind of expect that here at Weedsport. Guys not knowing people's lifting zones there in turn 1, but all in all, they make it out here. We're going to spread out a little bit, but everybody survives. The Philly Flyer, Trevor Giroux, he looked to tighten up there in the middle of 3 and 4, but out front, Brian Dickens able to get in front of the 79 of Dean Reynolds, and the 122 leads the way here early on. Brian Dickens looking good in that pink and yellow machine. As you know, man, we see Clay Christopherson there in that 51 trying to go low and slow. His teammate in the 007, Sam Bachman, ripping the high side. 2 ways to do it. Let's see who can move on up the fastest. Is right now, Sam Bachman looks to have a little tree stump there in the way. That 27 of Sean Green doing a good job of just holding that middle line, not allowing anybody to move on by. See there, who is that? Randall Dixon there in the 011 racing with Brian Lawson. Brian Lawson to the inside here at Weedsport as we're 5 laps in, and so far all is good here at Weedsport. Drop back towards the back though. There's contact. Brian Lawson. Or that's Craig Bristol, excuse me. Craig Bristol is able to keep it straight. No caution, and boys up front get to keep playing here as Dean Reynolds tries to set that fishing hook on the tail deck of the 122, but right now Brian Dickens looking good in that 122 as the 79 reels him in there in the middle of the corner, but Brian, the much better run off, just tries to pull away, does exactly that. See here, let's watch him here. We'll stick up here. And oh, the Ant-Man gets into the side of his teammate in the 79. He's got to crack the throttle as all of them roll through 4. And see the different line variations, not too much. I mean, guys in the back going upstairs because they kind of have to. It's virtually the only place to get the pass done. But Dean Reynolds, did a good job of keeping in touch there with the 122 of Brian Dickens as we go on the nose. Brian almost gets into that inside wall. I mean, that's what they're flirting with. They got to go down and find that little tacky spot. Dean liking the slick here through 3 and 4, maybe rubbering up a little bit. Gonna try it in 1 and 2 here, but now he opens the door for his teammate, who gets into him once again. And this time he's gonna lose that spot to Scott Rayom when he checks up. And coming to 18 to go, Anthony Morano's running out of tricks there in that bag. James Bond. Oh, you see Putt gets into his teammate there. He's got to go up high. He loses the spot then to the 27 and the 7, and now he finds himself on the outside 3 wide, but gets a good run off the corner. Shuts the door on Sean Green, and now Sean wondering what he's got to do to get that 271 back underneath the 51. You look back up at the lead here. Dean Reynolds stayed right in touch with the 122, but hasn't been able to make the move just yet. We'll have to see if he's going to be able to here. Scott Rayom reeling him in here, and you watched what happened when Anthony tried to diamond underneath. Kind of got the door closed on him, a little bit of contact. How does he go about trying to work around his teammate here in the 79? Rayom just trying to, run middle offs. You see he gets a little bit lower. This is where he's trying to show Dean the fender. But right now, I mean, there's just not enough room. You can stick that down there, but you're going to get on the brakes so hard, keeping it down there, that you're not going to be able to maintain the momentum in 3 and 4. And if you were to maintain that momentum, you're going to get into your teammate there. So Dean kind of putting Scott between a rock and a hard place there, but that's exactly what he needs to do. He wants to hold on to this middle podium spot. You never know. Brian Dickens and Dean Reynolds are starting to close up on lap traffic, and if this thing stays green, we're going to get there. Let's go back in the field here. Let's take a look. Kurt Schatzer, you're currently your hard charger. Up 8 spots, started 22nd in this 218, and looked good in the B main. He's looking good here in the feature as well. How many more spots can he get? He's got 10 more laps to do it. Brian Dickens, so smooth. Oh! Dean gets a shot from Scott. Scott gets a shot from the Ant-Man. And now Brian Dickens just needs this thing to stay green as they're battling hard behind. Man, oh man. Couldn't tell who that was. That was Justin Hazlett, who almost got into that inside wall after contact. He's going to lose a bunch of spots in that 27 machine. Drives back in there trying to protect here, trying to fight off the 75 of the Philly Flyer, Trevor Giroux. He's looking to the outside, looking good right now. He gets that runoff, completes the pass at the line, and Trevor Giroux moves on up to P9 for now. As Brian Dickens just looking to bring this thing home. 6 more laps to play here at Weedsport. Sam Bachman trying to move on up into the top 5. He's got these 2 teammates ahead of him, really 4 teammates ahead of him there. As 2nd through 7th is Full Throttle Motorsports drivers. Really unbelievable. Every driver on your screen except that yellow 27 at the right-hand side is a Full Throttle Motorsports driver. 4 laps to go here at Weedsport. Man, oh man, they're still playing back here. Michael Vitale to the inside. our first caution of the evening, and Brandon Dittmer also gets sent into the infield after the caution waves. Well, let's see Jason Butterfield in the 93. Try and get a view of what happened here. So right now he's side by side with Jack Clevenger. He just gets into the outside wall in 3 and 4 and goes for a ride. Oh, wild ride. There, gets into the wall there and loses the right front. Caution flies, and first caution of the evening here at Weedsport. This is exactly what the 122 of Brian Dickens did not want to see here. Been comfortably leading the way this evening, and well, now, first caution of the night, you watch that lead evaporate, and Dino and 5 or 6 other teammates behind him start chomping at the bit here to see if they can find a way around. Lights are still on in the Steve King Foundation pace car, so not going green just yet here. Dust starting to fly a little bit. The night races, though, the dust doesn't seem to be too much of a factor for people who watch a lot of the dirt racing. Seems to be those afternoon races where, man, it can be tough to see. The lights are off on the Steve King Foundation pace car, and Brian Dickens set to bring us to the green flag. 3 laps to go. For a little 3-lap shootout here at Weedsport. Brian Dickens drops the hammer and we're ready to play. 3 laps to go. Can anybody find a way to get around that 122? Battling for 4th. Anthony Morano looks under his teammate there in the 444, but Scott Rayom gets a good drive off the corner. Anthony, though, sends it in, parks it on the bottom, makes it stick, gets into that inside wall, loses it a little bit. Now Sam Bachman drives around on the high side. 2 more trips to go, though. Can Dean reel in the 122? He's running out of time. We're about to see the white flag fly, and 1 more trip around for Brian Dickens. Brian Dickens hasn't seen victory lane here in the 358 modifieds for some time, I believe. And all that's about to wipe away. Brian Dickens parks that dirt track bank 122 in victory lane here at Weedsport. Dean Reynolds and Dylan Kinsey round out the podium. Sam Bachman, Scott Rayom, your top 5. Anthony Morano, Clay Christopherson, Sean Green, Trevor Giroux, and Brian Lawson round out your top 10 as Brian Dickens leads all 30 laps here at the Weedsport Speedway and parks it on the hill. Congratulations to the 122. Brian Dickens gets it done. Try to... I don't have a lot of things to jump to here. Normally, you jump at that most recent caution. We don't want to do that and just have 3 laps on repeat. But man, oh man. These guys did an amazing job tonight. And we'll have to see if we can get Dylan Kinsey up here. Try to get a word with the driver of the 639 here. Dylan able to sneak his way onto that podium right behind his teammate in the 79, Dean Reynolds, who Brian Dickens and Dean Reynolds are... There we go. There's Dylan, as we'll pull the man up. Dylan, good run tonight, man, but it just seemed like, especially, when you got teammates in front of you, that makes it a little more harder to pass. But on a track that's already tough to pass here at Weedsport, a top 3 up 3 spots, you got to be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, you just had to be really patient, wait for a mistake by somebody in front of you. And unfortunately, that's how I got 3rd when I think it was Scott and Anthony or Dean or somebody, that them guys got together and opened up a hole for me, and I shot into 3rd. So, it sucks for them that happened. But, we're running so tight because the lane's, you know, at the bottom, and that's it. You get up above it, it's over with. So, you know, we're just running so tight, and things happen like that. So it was good. We all rebounded, and it was a good show out for the team.
Yeah, man. I kept talking about you guys. I mean, 2nd through 7th. I mean, trying to look down through the field here, and just for everyone else to know, it's not like, you guys just have all these good finishes because you got a crap ton of drivers, which you do. I don't think any of you, man, looking at correct me if I'm wrong here, but Clay, he was the lowest finishing FTM driver, right? In 7th place here. Looking at this, like, that's pretty unbelievable, man. What you guys, or Logan, I guess, but Logan didn't really run the feature, I don't think.
Yeah, he missed a start. You know, there's just all of us have a lot of talent. You know, there's some of us that can run the bottom really good, and then some run the top really good. You know, we're kind of diverse in that. But I mean, all of us are starting to come around. We're starting to be more versatile, just because you have to with the tracks and stuff like that. Especially Dean, he hates running the bottom, but he's learning. So, yeah, I mean, it's good. There's just a lot of talent in this team, and that's why when we're, you know, bunched up like that, it's just really tight and things happen.
Yeah, man. But you guys do a good job of putting on a great show, and you guys did a great job too. Just touch on this real quick, man. You guys came together with Venom to help sponsor this thing, so it's really awesome that you guys came together and did that. So we really appreciate it, Dylan. But great run tonight, man. Congratulations on the P3. Who you want to thank, brother?
Yeah, us and Venom, you know, we're kind of, you know, on the track, you know, we're rivals, but, you know, off the track, we're all, you know, we joke around a lot and everything between both teams. So it was good to come together and make something happen. But I got to thank all the guys at FTM, Gunnar Swan Speed Shop, Dean Reynolds at Super Dirt Car, DJ for the rap, you Shaggy for the broadcast, and Venom and FTM for picking up the sponsorship, and everyone at Coast to Coast that makes it happen.
Hey, great job, Dylan. You talked the perfect amount of time there while I was choking, so I appreciate that. Great run, man. And, hey, man, hopefully I talk to you again after these big blocks. Good luck.
Yep, I'm better, so we'll see. Thank you.
It's a 639 Dylan Kinsey bringing home P3. And now we bring up the man who, Dino, so close so many times, but at a track that's tough to pass at. I mean, Brian, he basically ran a flawless race.
Yeah, I really needed him to make a mistake, which he made a couple, but I wasn't in the right position to take advantage of it. There was one time I got a good run at a 2, and I was going to get under him a little bit, and he came down and did the block, which you should. You're leading. I mean, sometimes when you got a track like this, you're going to need to look in the mirror, and I said, no, you need to do what you got to do, and I was trying different lanes. I was trying a diamond coming out of 2. I was trying that middle in 3 and 4. I tried a diamond coming out of 4, and it just wasn't quite there. I mean, you know, I maybe with a big block where there'll be a little bit more mistakes, it might be a little bit better. But with a 358, it's really hard to make a mistake unless you hit the wall. But you know, I was on my brake a lot, and I never ride the brake. But you know, Clay and Anthony are teaching us how to ride brakes and trail brakes, and I was doing a lot of that here. And hey, we'll take a second. That's okay. Brian earned it. Anthony had a little bit of a misfortune there on the start. I mean, we basically said, Morano's starting on the pole on the inside of this feature. Who's going for second? And lo and behold, he just taps the inside wall and gives us all a shot.
Yeah, you know, and it seemed like, Dino, I mean, it's always tough to judge, you know, when you're racing here, but they're in the closing couple laps. I mean, before the caution came out, it seemed like you were making up a lot of time there, kind of running that half a lane to a lane higher through 3 and 4. Was there any thought to try it in 1 and 2? But I know it's tough, you know, when you got those quick teammates behind. You can't really open that door, you know, and plan on a mistake and hold on to it.
No, 1 and 2, because this is a D-shaped oval, and turn 1 is like a hairpin left. You can't really ride the middle because your car is going to slide up, or you're going to try to diamond it down. And you just can't roll that. With 3 and 4, the apex is like almost way it should be, right in the middle. And yes, it shuts off quick coming out of 4, but you can enter in 3 a little higher, a little hotter, and maybe roll that. 1 and 2 you can't. 1 and 2 you needed a cushion up top to lean against. There was one in the matinee, and we were running the top in the matinee in 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. But this track with 33 cars I think we had in a half-hour practice, there was going to be nothing except for the bottom. I mean, it was just too much. Now, the big block race here, we're going to have a shorter practice if I shut up. And might be a little bit less cars. So I think you're going to see a little bit better race here.
Well, hey, Dino, I thank Dylan and on the broadcast, as well as I do, you are the glue there between Full Throttle Motorsports and Venom. And you guys coming together, man, and sponsoring this, that is awesome and such an example to set for the other teams. I'm so proud of you guys for that. But congratulations on a great P2, Dean. Who you want to thank, man, before I kick you out of here?
Well, ironic that you said that. It was Scotty Riom that brought that up, and we were in another league. And Brian Lawson was in the Discord with us running that league, and Scotty came up and said, hey, small blocks are the only thing left. Why don't we all get together? And a bunch of us got together. We all pitched in, and we said, yeah, why don't we do that and make sure the 358 stay televised for the rest of the year? Because I know Roger said they were good for 3 weeks, but then after that, I mean, we need Thursday Night Thunder. We need that televised. I mean, I think that's the most fun night of the year. For a lot of guys, so we needed that. So yeah, so thanks to my friends from Full Throttle Motorsports, my teammates. If it wasn't for Brian, we would have had I think a top 6. But congrats to Brian. He ran a great race, so congratulations to him. But we had a good night as well, and thanks to Team Venom for helping out, pitching in with that. And those guys, they're always great to hang out with Isaac and Brian, and now they got Bud Molyneux on their team, so that's good. I'm glad Bud got on their team, and with Trevor and Trent and Dan McLaren, but great bunch of guys there too. Thank you, Shaggy, for doing the telecast. You're bringing it home, and I got Megan and my father watching, so I got to say hi to them. And Dirt Vision, Super Dirt Car Series. I don't say a lot of stuff on my own sponsors. Swan Speed Shop, DJ Sim Shop, Donald Tuos, who did this wrap. I should be thanking my wrap makers because I have a different one every race. So I just don't have a list like Morano and Isaac that can read off it. They tape it to their screen because they get podiums every race. I don't, so. But maybe I should.
Hey, that sounds like a good problem to have, though. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
At least you're finishing up here, my man.
Yeah, no, it was a fun race, and congratulations to Dylan for third. And I'll go strap in a big block, and maybe I'll talk to you again, Shaggy.
Yeah, good luck here, Dino.
Thank you, brother.
That's your P2 finisher, Dean Reynolds. And now we bring up Brian. Okay, we're going to yell at Patrick Spangler if this is wrong, but according to Sim Racer Hub, your first ever 358 Thursday night modified feature win. Congratulations, man. You led all 30 laps. How's it feel?
It feels amazing, man. It's been a while since I won what I call one of the bigger divisions lately. But yeah, I had a blast.
Yeah, I remember I brought that up actually on the broadcast, almost word for word of what you said, Brian. I remember you saying that a couple weeks ago. We got you back on the podium again finally in something. I can't remember what it was, but man, now that we're seeing this 122 on the track more often, Brian, I think we're going to see a lot more of this thing, man. You looked real fast. How'd the car feel?
It was awesome. Very treacherous to drive. Just very easy on the throttle. I mean, baby in that bad boy.
Yeah, now, coming there with like 4 or 5 laps to go, I mean, you got to know if this thing stays green. I got this thing wrapped up. What's going through your head, man? Only one caution, but it comes later. Do you start getting nervous?
Of course, you got to get nervous, son. Just want to make sure that I get back in the groove as soon as that green flag drops because, I mean, you're so out of the throttle here. I mean, I could have just lost all my speed right on the straightaway if I jumped in it.
Well, Brian, you're able to overcome those nerves, and I know that's not easy to do, man. I'm one of those guys, I sit there and shake like I almost get the chills. I'm not afraid to admit that. I chatter, I get so nervous. I used to do it on the grid when I was a little kid racing too, and just one of those things, man, you got to overcome, and you're able to do that tonight, Brian. Bring home your first win here, and I imagine it's going to be the first of many here this season. Congratulations, brother. Who you want to thank?
Yeah, I love these cars. They race very well. Thank you for doing the broadcast, man. You're doing an awesome job. I want to thank everybody at C2C, everybody behind the scenes that make this happen. I realize how much work it takes. I really appreciate it. Give us a great place to race. I got to thank my dirt teammates, Hammer Down Racing with Joe, Kurt, and BT. But some of my asphalt racing buddies have come over here to race with us as well. So the Haslets and Mike Weeda. have come over. So I'm having a blast with all these guys, and just want to thank everybody, and thanks Dean for running me clean.
Yeah, I'm lucky enough to know those guys from helping Joe out there with Friday Night Lights. But those two names that he mentioned, they're some good drivers. So you're gonna have to keep an eye on those guys. But congratulations, Brian, and we're gonna pull the big block out here next.
Nah, man, I haven't even had nothing to eat. I got to retire for tonight.
Haha, one and done, man. I like that. Congratulations. Take home the checkers. Get something to eat, brother. And hey, we'll see you next week, man.
All right, buddy. Take care.
Brian Dickens with his first ever feature win here in the 358 Modifieds. Couldn't go to a more classy guy, and he is plugged for this thing. So congratulations, and I'm telling you, it's just going to be the first on the long list here for this 122. If he keeps plugging away, look good low and slow, and able to take advantage of that track position, hold on, and we're going to take a quick break here on the Coast to Coast Racing Network, and we will be right back with your Atlantic Management Resources Big Block Modifieds. Stick around.
It's time for another edition of RSN Trackside, powered by Bob Johnson Auto Group on Rock Sports Network. Kiss on the champion. Trying to be a
bit of a hiatus, so let's get right when we talked about it.
outpouring of love was amazing. These dollars had come together to support us, and we realized, no, we didn't want to use them for us. We wanted to use them to help others.
The foundation has done so much for so many people. It helps any family that has somebody, whether it be a crew member or one of the drivers, that get hurt. We can help them to get through the situation.
I was injured in a non-wing sprint car accident that broke my neck and left me with a spinal cord injury. I was in the hospital 8 months, and that got really, really expensive. So having that extra help to help push me and my family forward was a big deal.
I was involved in a pretty gnarly sprint car crash. Found out my brain was swelling and bleeding. Pelvic bone was broken. I had 2 cracked vertebrae on my back, and I was in the ICU a little over a week. The Steve King Foundation reached out to my parents. We received a donation from them. Immediately, they started me on what's called neurofeedback, and insurance did not cover the neurofeedback appointments. So we received another donation from the Steve King Foundation. It really helped a lot, and I just want to say thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart to the Steve King Foundation for everything that they have done for me. This last Sunday, I got to turn laps in my modified here. That was my first laps back in a race car since the accident, and I truly believe that if it wasn't for the Steve King Foundation, I wouldn't be able to do that or be where I'm at today.
Yes, Steve's death is the reason the foundation exists, but it's Steve's life, and it's the lives of racers everywhere, is the reason we're able to do the work we do.
We're back live on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. I'm Zach Chapman here with Shaggy TV, and we're ready to bring you part 2 of Thursday Night Thunder here at the Weed Sports Speedway. The Atlantic Management Resources Big Block Modified set to kick off. The 358s, they were a great show there. Brian Dickens able to bring home his first career win in the 358 Modifieds here in the Coast to Coast Racing League. Great run there for him. Let's click on over. Let's see. Is there anybody else on the track here in another session? We got Randy Shreves out here putting around. He's going to pull off, and actually he's going to pull off because the checkered flag waves, and we're going to get ready to go into qualifying here. As I try to find my freaking mouse. And it's just lost on the screen here. Let's see. There we go. My apologies. Found. The mouse is found, and we already know who's out there on the track first. It's pretty unfreaking believable. It is literally clockwork. I don't know how the 31 does it. I say this every time, and I will every time until somebody beats him. It's unbelievable. He's on the world's fastest internet connection, or that guy just, I mean, he should be driving an F1 car with his grid time, the way he clicks that button. He messes up lap number 1 here. Not going to like that. Got tight in 3 and 4, and you see yellow through sector 2. 31, not going to like that. Still did well enough in Sector 1, though, to keep him P2 as the Ant-Man Anthony Morano, he moves up the board. He's your current quick time. Let's see what he does here. Comes around. Brandon Templeton going to stay P3. Couldn't improve. The Ant-Man rolls around quicker through Sector 1. Slower through Sector 2. Not going to improve his time. But so far doesn't need to in that 32 machine as he leads the way here early on. Let's take a look. Jack Clevenger here in the 78. Jack sends it into 3 and 4. He tightens up a little bit on entry. He's got to slide it up. Not going to like that second sector. You see yellow. Jack Clevenger, P12, lap number 1. What does he do this second and final time? So I believe his lap may have already counted, but he's slower through anyway, so not going to improve. We had 29 drivers qualify, and Your top 5, Anthony Morano, Clay Christopherson, Trevor Giroux, Sam Bachman, and Brandon Templeton. As we get ready here for heat race number 1. 29 guys should have, 4 heats again. A couple of them will have 7 drivers, but imagine we'd stick with that concept. Starting on the outside of row number 4 in the 94, Gary Offit. Into his inside in the 247, Michael Vecchio. Harold Klump lines up on the outside of row number 3 in the 2 machine. Into his inside, the 93 of Butters, Jason Butterfield. The Ant-Man, your fastest qualifier, lines up on the outside of row number 2. Into his inside, the 31 of B-Temp, Brandon Templeton. Starting on the front row to the outside in the 118, Logan Wentz. And it is inside, starting on the pole in the 56, Randy Shreves. As we head down the backstretch, the boys get ready to go play in the clay at Weed Sports Speedway. It is going to be a good one here. The 358 Modifieds didn't disappoint. You get the horses out here. Let them out of the stable. Let them run. That's what we're going to do. The big blocks are ready to play at Weed Sports Speedway. Heat race number 1 underway. Great jump on the outside for the 118 of Logan Wentz. But Randy Shreves swings the bat back coming out of 2, but just loses the rear end there going down the backstretch. And Logan Wentz in the 118 clears the way here. He leads lap number 1. Randy Shreves slams the door shut on the Ant-Man. He messes up his run. Brandon Templeton takes a peek. He's got to get on the binders. Didn't want to get in the side of the Ant-Man, but they are battling hard here. Anthony Morano, can he complete the pass? Going down the front stretch? No. Side by side coming out of 2 once again here. Who's going to get it done? Anthony's going to send it in. Can he slide up? The answer's no. Randy Shreves still there, and the 56 holds the spot at the line. 5 laps to go. Logan Wentz with a big old smile on his face out front. Whoa, that smile almost turned to a frown there. Almost looked up in the mirror and saw the Ant-Man clear. But they're still side by side. Halfway home, 4 laps to go. Brandon Templeton holds onto that 4th and final transfer spot, but he's digging for a little more in that 31. Been watching the battle hard in front of him. Randy Shreves in the outside wall, sends it in a little too deep. He can't counter under the Ant-Man, and right now, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Right in line there on the middle of your screen is Butters, Jason Butterfield. He's slowly reeling him in, but you got to think only 2.5 more trips around the sun here. 2 laps to go this time. Does Butters have enough time to make up the ground? Still side by side in front of him, Randy Shreves answers the bell. Back on the high side, Randy Shreves holds on to P3 at the line. White flag waves, 1 more trip around. Anthony's gotten to the quarter panel of his teammate, but just dies out on him. Going down the backstretch, side by side on entry, but Logan Wentz with all the steam. He wins heat race number 1, followed by Anthony Morano, Brandon Templeton, and Randy Shreves to the feature. Jason Butterfield, Harold Klump, Michael Vecchio, and Gary Offit to the B main. As we get ready to take a look here at our starting grid for heat race number 2, starting on the inside of row number 4 in the 171, Jake Henry. Outside of row number 3 in the 513, that's the Brewerton Beast, Jeff Barker. Into his inside, his Can-Am Racing teammate in the 7, Bob DeGood. Outside of row number 2 in the 051, Clay Christopherson. Into his inside in the 9, Brian Lawson. Dean Reynolds lines up on the outside of the front row here for heat race number 2. And to his inside, the 213 of Michael Vitale. Michael Vitale starting on the front row here for heat race number 2. Next he gets set to bring the field to the green flag as we see the overlay mess up again for you guys. We will refresh here. Shaggy doesn't care what it is. I know these drivers like the back of my hand. Michael Vitale fires, and we're underway here at Weed Sports Speedway. Dean Reynolds to the outside. Brian Lawson takes a peek to the inside as Clay Christopherson holds onto that fourth and final transfer spot. Dean Reynolds gives the 213 a little shot going down the backstretch. Brian Lawson takes advantage. Third to first here in your opening lap. The 9 showing the guns here early. Jake Henry with a hiccup in the back. He's got a lot of ground to make up now. Meanwhile, Dean Reynolds finds himself in that final transfer spot. Started second, looking at fourth here as he battles to the outside of his teammate in the 051. Putt doing just that, putting around the bottom in that 51, going low and slow. Trail breaking on entry, dragging that thing in, getting it to stick. And look at all the bike coming off side by side as they touch, entering 1. Oh, here comes Putt. Who wants to play a little game, says Clay. Sends it into 3 and 4. Who can make it stick? The 51, he does it a little better. Dean Reynolds, Michael Vitale, they touch behind. And here comes the Brewerton Beast. Jeff Barker looking for that fourth and final transfer spot. Can he get to the inside of the 213 and make it stick? Floats up a little high. Needs to follow this 051 here. Clay Christopherson, low and slow, driving in deep, drag that brake, make it stick, and we got a battle for the lead. Here comes the Mellow Yellow Machine. Putt trying to take the lead. 2 laps to go. Clay drives it in a little deeper than he'd like here, but still gets a good run off of 2, and he can go wherever he wants. Putt leads the way as the battle on for third. Jeff Barker was able to get up into that fourth and final transfer spot, but he wants a little bit more. Here's the white flag flies. Brian, one last heave into 1, sends it up top, trying to find some grip here on the top shelf through 3 and 4. Can he make it stick? Putt brings it to the line. Clay Christopherson brings home heat race number 3. Or number 2. Shaggy can't remember. We think it's number 3. Followed by Brian Lawson, Dean Reynolds, Jeff Barker, Michael Vitale, Bob DeGood, and Jake Henry to the B main. As let's bring up... Okay, no, that was heat race number 2. This is heat race number 3. Hey, everybody makes mistakes. You know what I'm saying? Add it to the list. Running out the field in the 099, starting on the inside of row number 4, Glenn Sharp. Outside of row number 3 in the 39, the high side banger, Patrick Spangler. Into his inside in the 83 is Training Wheels teammate, Brandon Dittmer. The Philly Flyer, Trevor Giroux, lines up on the outside of row number 2. Into his inside, the 011 of Randall Dixon. Starting on row number 1 here to the outside in the 444, Scott Rayome. Into the inside in the 271. Sean Green, as we're still waiting for the high side banger to grid here. Not sure if we're going to have it. That's the delay here this evening at Weed Sports. So message your man, Patrick Spangler, yell at him. Do whatever you need to do here. He likes to start in the back row for some reason, even at Weed Sport, and I know it's crazy. But that's always been the high side banger's thing, so... See if you're out there watching, let us know who you're rooting for tonight. I'm trying to keep up with that chat, but not a lot going on here tonight on Thursday Night Thunder in the chat box. Let's try to liven it up a little bit. Let us know who you're rooting for. Tell me how bad I stink, what I can improve on. You know, I'm willing to take it all here as we roll through 3 and 4. For the final time, the green flag is high, ready to fly. Heat race number 3 underway. Sean Green sails off into turn number 1. Gonna try... No, I thought he'd slide up in front of the 4, but likes that grip down on the bottom as the battle heats up for P3. Patrick Spangler pulls this thing out on the racetrack, and well, the high side banger graces us with his presence. Trevor Giroux up to P3 is Brandon Dittmer. The Spider Monkey trying to latch down on the inside, but the 83 just loses all grip coming off of 2. But the Philly Flyer, here he comes, letting the horses out of the stall here. Sends it into the basin in 1 and 2. Can he find that grip? Scott Rayome's going to shut that door coming off. But Trevor with better grip going down the backstretch. And just maybe a better overall looking line here. I think it's only a matter of time before he gets this thing. As I just realized here, I've never customized this big block, so we're not going to get Shaggy's interview camera or anything that I have with that, unless I edit it here at warm-ups, so I will try to do that quick. But Trevor Giroux, man, he's still trying to defend here. Hold on to third. Randall Dixon trying to take advantage of all that room on the high side. Can he wind that thing up and take a peek here? Side by side, give it to Randall Dixon at the line. Scott Rayome looking for the lead here coming out of 2. We had a new leader for just a second. But give it back to Sean Green on corner entry, and you got to like the speed he's going to have coming off of 4. He holds on for now, but how long as Scott Rayome takes one more peek there side by side. Coming to the white flag, out of 3 and 4. White flag waves one more trip around. Sean Green at the line, but can he hold on? He needs his best lap of the evening here. Scott Rayome slides up, shuts the door as we got a battle coming to the line, but Scott Rayome gonna hold on. Sean Green P2, Randall Dixon, Trevor Giroux make the show. Brandon Dittmer, Glenn Sharp in the high side banger to the B main. As we get ready here for our 4th and final heat race of the evening for the Atlantic Management Resource Big Block Modified Division. Rounding out heat race number 4, inside of row 4, the 29 of Craig Bristol. Row number 3 to the outside, the 4 of Greg Parmalee, and to his inside, the Canadian Alex Pomerleau. James Bond takes that 007 and lines up on the outside of row number 2, and to his inside, the 97 of Butch Baker. Row number 1 for your 4th and final heat race. Top 4 make the feature, starting on the outside, the 78 of Jack Clevenger, and on the pole, the 639 of Dylan Kinsey. Apparently it wants to double over again and reset this for you guys. Not too sure why it does that. I'd love to know, but I know nothing about computers. I know how to turn it on. The green flag is high. It's ready to fly. 8 laps to play at Weedsport Speedway. Heat race number 4 underway. Oh, contact right away. There's their 3-4 wide. Jack Clevenger rooted up. Sam Bachman involved as well as the 397 of Alex Pomerleau. He takes advantage and he moves himself into that 4th and final transfer spot. Butch Baker trying to make that 97 speed up a little bit as he's watching that 639 unravel the cord here. Dylan Kinsey showing speed here early. Gotta get that Venom Racing machine rolling. Jack Clevenger down 3 spots early. Remember, he started second. We watched him get bounced up in 1 and 2. He gets the door closed on him. He goes back downstairs trying to find a run. But Sam Bachman too quick coming off of 4. Sends it in deep, trying to go up there in the Hershey Kisses in 1 and 2. But just such a long way around that right now it's not paying dividends. Here's where it is. He's going to get a good run off the top shelf. And the Canadian leaves him a lane here. He rides him up the racetrack, but Alex Pomerleau, oh, how long can he hold on? Here comes James Bond off the top shelf, and Bond takes P3 at the line. Can he try to clear him here and run down the 97? The answer's no. Alex Pomerleau, he's going to stick around for a little bit. 2 more laps to go for your leader, Dylan Kinsey, who has just absolutely walked away with this thing. Huge lead in just 4 or 5 laps that we've had. And with the white flag ready to fly, Dylan Kinsey ready to bring home heat race number 4 in dominant fashion. Butch Baker trying to hold on to P2. Final time through 3 and 4 as we see the checkered flag wave. Dylan Kinsey brings home heat race number 4, followed by Sam Bachman, Butch Baker, Alex Pomerleau, Jack Clevenger, Greg Parmalee, and Craig Bristol the B main is Sam Bachman just able to edge out Butch Baker at the line. That was a close run here as we're going to take the top 8 again. So 5 drivers going home here in tonight's B main. Let's take a look here at the starting grid. Starting on the inside of row number 7 in the 94, Gary Offit. Outside of row number 6 in the 29, Craig Bristol. Into his inside, the high side banger, Patrick Spangler. Jake Henry takes the 171 on the outside of row number 5. Into his inside in the 247, Michael Vecchio. Outside of row number 4, in the 4, Greg Parmalee. Into his inside in the 099, Glenn Sharp. Bob DeGood takes the 7 and lines up on the outside of row number 3. Into his inside, the 2 of Harold Klump. Jack Clevenger lines up on the outside of row number 2 in the 78. Into his inside, the 83 of Brandon Dittmer. Row number 1 for your B main to the outside in the 213, Michael Vitale. Into the inside, Jason Butterfield. As we see the Steve King Foundation pace car pull off, the green flag is high. It's ready to fly. You got 10 laps to punch your ticket. Top 8, make it. Who's going to get it done? Let's take a look here. Oh, there's contact right away. And oh, Jake Henry, Glenn Sharp. Good night. Tough break for those two. They're going to need a big mistake in front as we move on up to 8. Greg Parmalee is in that 8th and final transfer spot. Michael Vecchio, Gary Offit, Glenn Sharp. The guys on the outside looking in here. Brandon Dittmer takes a peek to the inside. The Spider Monkey trying to move on up to P3. Can Brandon Dittmer find a way around here? We watch him roll off. Man, oh man. Just seems like Jack Clevenger drove it in a little deep there. Brandon taking advantage. What's it going to look like here on exit? Side by side, give it to Brandon Dittmer. But Jack Clevenger in the lane up top that's been slowly developing. Well, there, he loses it all in 1 and 2. But Dittmer, he goes up to the top in 3 and 4. We might be seeing a combo here. Let's watch our leader. We're seeing bottom 1-2. The slider 1-2. Dittmer takes a peek there for second, and then we see the leader, Jason Butterfield. He likes that middle through 3 and 4, and then cuts down a little bit. But different strokes for different folks. Leads the way as Greg Parmalee still holding on to that 8th and final transfer spot. But here comes the 247 of Michael Vecchio. Can he punch his ticket? Michael Vecchio sponsors the AMR Big Block Modifieds. Love to see that thing get in, but oh man, it's going to be a Greg Parmalee's misfortune. Gets into the front stretch wall, loses it. And now Michael Vecchio finds himself in that 8th and final transfer spot, with Gary Offit running right on his coattails. Jason Butterfield comes off of 4, sees that white flag fly. I thought I saw some contact and somebody dive off into the infield, but all is good, and Butters drives it into 3 and 4 for the final time. He's going to make it to tonight's A main, followed by Michael Vitale, Brandon Dittmer, Jack Clevenger, Patrick Spangler, Bob DeGood, Harold Klump, Michael Vecchio. Make it to the feature. Gary Offit, Glenn Sharp, Greg Parmalee, Jake Henry, and Craig Bristol. They're going to have to pack it up and come back next week as we take a short break here on the Coast to Coast Racing Network, and we will be right back with your Atlantic Management Resources Big Block Modified features. Stick around. We're back live on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. 20 seconds left until we roll off this 24-car main event here in the Atlantic Management Resources Big Block Modifieds. Thank you for tuning in here this evening. As man, oh man, Shaggy did a quick check on my upload speeds. See, Mr. Spangler, if only we could diagnose what's going on. I'm at 209 megabytes right now. I could have my bit rate through the roof, but oh my gosh, it was too inconsistent to really tune it up. I'd like to send out a freaking 5K broadcast, you know, if I was able to. But right now, hey, it just doesn't want to agree. But I'll tell you what, let's take a look here at the starting lineup for tonight's main event here. This is going to be a good one. Outside of row number 12, the 247 of Michael Vecchio into his inside, the 2 of Harold Klump. Bob DeGood takes the 7 and lines up on the outside of row number 11 into his inside, the high side banger, Patrick Spangler in the 39. Jack Clevenger lines up on the outside of row number 10 in the 78 machine into his inside, the 83 of the Spider Monkey, Brandon Dittmer. Michael Vitale lines up on the outside of row number 9 in the 213 into his inside, the 93 of Jason Butterfield. The Canadian Alex Pomerleau to the outside of row number 8 and to his inside in the 075. Once again, pairing the Canadians, the Philly Flyer, Trevor Giroux. The Brewerton Beast lines up on the outside of row number 7 in the 513 and to his inside, Randy Shreves. Butch Baker to the outside of row number 6 and to his inside, the 011 of Randall Dixon. Dean Reynolds to the outside of row 5 and his inside, the 31 of B-Temp, Brandon Templeton. James Bond in the 007 lines up to the outside of row number 4 and to his inside, the 271 of Sean Green. Brian Lawson to the outside of row number 3 and the 9 and to his inside, the Ant-Man, Anthony Morano. Row number 2, the 639 of Dylan Kinsey to the outside and his teammate in the 444, Scott Rayome to the inside. Full Throttle Motorsports row number 1 for tonight's Big Block Modified feature here at the Weed Sports Speedway. Starting on the outside in the 051, Putt Clay Christopherson, and to his inside in the 118, Logan Wentz. As the green flag is high, it's ready to fly. We drop the hammer at Weed Sports Speedway. 30 laps to play in the clay. We're underway. Big send on his teammate there in the 118. Shuts the door on the 51. Putt got to find a way to get to the bottom unless he wants this top shelf. Leaves it open for the 444 as we race. Somebody in the wall on that high side. That's Dino in the 79. Contact behind him. Oh, as we smooth it out. Do we survive? Shaggy brings up the top thing as I'm trying to click on other drivers. Man, oh man, these guys, I'll tell you what, in the 358s, we saw what should have been many cautions there early on, but drivers saving it, able to wheel this thing around, and we're treated to it once again here at the Weed Sports Speedway. Guys all over the place, but guys making room here, and we had a lead change. Putt to the lead in the 051. Clay Christopherson leads the way. Anthony Morano trying to follow on up here. Can he get to P2? He loves running that bottom. He's going to trail break that thing in, drive it in deep. Can he find the tack coming off? Yeah, man, can't find it at the line, but man, oh man, they're turning it up. The battle's on here at Weed Sport. Anthony's got the position going down the backstretch, but through 3 and 4, Logan Wentz, he gets into the outside wall. Anthony gets into the inside wall. And here come 2 more FTM boys ready to play. Dylan Kinsey to the outside, Scott Rayome to the inside. Dean Reynolds trying to charge his way on up. You're seeing that black and purple machine try to plug away. Car in the wall. That's Brandon Dittmer, I believe. The Spider Monkey, then other cars get into it. The 93 of Jason Butterfield, and we've got our first caution of the evening. Let's try to diagnose this a little bit here. So Brandon just floats up into that outside wall, touches it a little bit, it turns on him. He tries to keep it up out of the way. Does keep it up out of the way, but there's a wreck in front of him that he had nothing to do with. So let's figure out. We can't blame Dittmer for that. That's unrelated. Let's see what happens. Oh, so just contact. Michael Vitale kind of lifts there. Doesn't want to get into Brandon Dittmer in any way. Butters gets into him. Randall Dixon then gets into Butters. Nowhere for the Philly Flyer to go as he gets collected. And just like that, first caution of the night here in the big block modifieds. Putt leading the way here, though. Early as the light's still on here, so not going back yet. Driver's just antsy to get double file. Have to see what it looks like here when we do go. It looks with top 6 being Full Throttle Motorsports drivers. Dean Reynolds. Let's see, does he have the pressure of being the lowest Full Throttle Motorsports driver right now? I think he does, and it's running in 7th place, so not even a bad run really for Dino. Or not 7th, excuse me, 9th. Still trying to run down those teammates from afar as we roll through 3 and 4. The Steve King Foundation pace car pulls off. Clay Christopherson drops the hammer, and putt brings us to the green flag. Good restart for the 118 of Logan Wentz. Exactly what he needed to do there. We'd be able to hold on to P2, try to find a way to shut the door on the Ant-Man, or will Anthony make it stick coming off a 4? He floats up. They were side by side. Oh! Anthony Morano almost gets into that inside wall. Oh, we see Sam Bachman. He got into the outside wall there in 1 and 2. Sean Green now looks to his inside into 271. Sean Green fighting tooth and nail there. Can he find a way around? He's in a sea of FTM cars. Him and Brian Lawson against FTM. Can him and the 9 work together to move their way on up through the field? As what happened to the 118 of Logan Wentz? Did he go out of the ballpark or did he lag out? And actually now we got a wreck here in 1 and 2. What happened to Logan Wentz? Did Logan Wentz wreck? We got to go back and find out what happened here to Logan Wentz first. And he did. I missed it. Big wreck here for the 118 of Logan Wentz. Let's see here. He's up top. And you know, that's the point where he gets into Anthony's right rear. He may not be happy with Anthony, but he had gotten so squirrely 3 and 4 that Anthony's got to make that move. He's got to try to pass. And at that point, you know, you almost got to back out of it. Let's see here what brought out the caution. So you're going to see the 56 of Randy Shreves. He has to lift after he gets into the back of the 513 a little bit, and it is just a pile from there. Everyone joins the party. Bob DeGood up and over. He ends up on the roof, and just like that, night ends early for the 7 of Bob DeGood. Tough break. Clay Christopherson feeling good out front. Ryan Lawson's worked that 9 machine up into the top 5. Dean Reynolds stalled out around 9th. Our hard charger. Let's see. Watching the standings rotate. It's rotating for me too, so let's get this refresher here. And it's looking like the hard charger is going to be Alex Pomerleau. I think up 8 spots there. He's going to be in P8 once it drops Michael Vecchio to the bottom. But the Steve King Foundation pace car is ready to pull off, and we're getting ready to drop the hammers. And Michael Vecchio just able to make it out there in front of our leaders. His putt drops it. We're ready to roll here at Wheat Sport. Anthony Morano trying to take advantage of that 2nd place starting position. Gets a good run down the backstretch to the outside of the 051. Clay leaves him a lane. Battle on for the lead. Clay Christopherson got to make that 51 wide. Is the 32 trying to dance up top with the devil. The 444 down low. That ended the counter there from the 32. He still tried to make it work, but he had to think twice about it there. Didn't want to chop off his teammate in that 4. You see rolling Scott Rayom. See Bob the Good back out there. Leader's going to be coming up on lap traffic if we stay green. This could get a little interesting as Dean Reynolds on the bottom. 3 wide. James Bond in the middle. The Canadian up top. James Bond got to back out that throttle, drop back in line. Dean Reynolds able to get one of them. Stuck to the inside here. Can he find a way around Alex? And maybe a 2-for-1 deal. You got Sean Green here. He gets by Alex. Sean runs him down. Dean making that thing wide here. He ain't going to be bullied out of that one. Look at the 79 working his way up towards the front. P6, one more for a top 5. Anthony Morano was so patient in the 358s. We're going to have to see if he's got it in him here. You don't want to make that mistake. You don't want to get to the 051. You don't want to ruin your race. You don't want to ruin his as he takes a peek. Side by side, Michael Vecchio gets out of the way of the leaders. Oh, boy. Oh, Scott Rayom into the inside wall. And he gets a shot there. He's on the outside, 3 wide. Scott Rayom goes from the podium back to about 7th or 8th here as he's got to try to hold on and recuperate what he lost. The high side banger moving his way on up. He started 21st. He's up to 11th. Up 10 spots is the 39. How high can the high side banger climb? Clay Christopherson so smooth out front. We saw Anthony putting the pressure on early, but now it just seems like Clay's kind of hit that mark, hit his rhythm, and he is feeling comfortable in that 051. Dean Reynolds trying to move on up into the top 5. Or actually, wait, he has, Shaggy. I forgot about that 118 mishap. Scott Rayom's mishap. So Dean Reynolds was able to move on up to the top 5. Been reeling in 3rd and 4th here. What can he do? Can he get on the podium? Yellow flag flies here at the Weed Sports Speedway. The high side banger gets the commentator's curse, and it's like that. Patrick Spangler involved here in our accident. Let's see if we can see what happened to the 39. Gets into the back of Randy Shreves. Just was making that top line rip, came up on those guys probably a little faster than he originally thought he would. Thought he had it saved. Then a little contact there from Jeff Barker and Brandon Dittmer. The caution flag flies in the 39. Imagine Patrick will go in there, get that quick repair, and try to go plug back away, but if you're out there watching, let us know who you think's going to win. Got Corey out there rooting for Brian Lawson. Brian's got that thing up into the top 4. Do we think he can pull this win off tonight? Lights should go off on the Steve King Foundation pace car this time by, and I think the drivers get ready to go play next time by. That is the case. Within 10 laps to go, though, so should be a single file restart here. That's what we'll see. The 051 of Clay Christopherson will lead us back to the green flag here for the what will be the 4th and hopefully final restart. 7 laps to go when we drop the hammer. The Steve King Foundation pace car pulls off, and Clay Christopherson gets ready to play. He leads the field back to green. We're underway. 7 laps to go. Dylan Kinsey holding on to that 3rd and final podium spot. He's got 2 dogs behind him, and here comes that 79 barking loud. Gets a run on the 9 of Brian Lawson. Can he find a way to take that peak here? No, not just yet. He's got to fall back in line. Dean, though, been so smooth on the bottom of 1 and 2. You got to think he wants more. I mean, he's got to be licking those chops. He gets into the back of the 9. He opens the door now for the 27. Nate touch. Scott Rayo thinks about going underneath. Oh, boy. Gloves are on. It's getting dirty. Gloves are off. It's getting dirty. Scott Rayo goes around. And we got a parking lot in 1 and 2. Scott Rayo caught up in, well, some business that he had nothing to do with, and we're going to take a look at it right here. See, he's just got to get on the binders. You see Sean come down. It causes him to slide up. Alex Pomerleau not ready for it. Gets into the back of the 4. And just like that, parking lot in 1 and 2, the Brewerton Beast, he's got to come to a stop. He's involved as well. Tough break for those 4 drivers as laps coming to a close. Not a lot of time to make up for those mistakes. So that's a real tough break for those guys. They have to find a way to pick that head up here and just try to recoup what they can. It's a long season here in the Coast to Coast Racing League. They run 12 races, so we're points racing. You can't just give up. I've seen it too many times where drivers will just scrap a race and end up having another bad one or two, and if they would have come back out, they could have gained 3 or 4 more spots, and, well, that may have been the difference in a points championship. So you just got to try to turn that frown upside down and just get in the mentality, yeah, I got to plug this thing away. I got to, I mean, I know this is in the virtual world here, but we treat it as much seriousness as we can. These guys try to act professional, and you get knocked down, got to get back up again. So you got to pick yourself up and find a way to get back in that seat. Back out there, recoup what you can. We saw the Brewerton Beast pull back out on the track. That's exactly what he's doing as we see the Steve King Foundation pace car pull off. 4 laps to go as Clay Christopherson drops the hammer, and we're back underway at the Weed Sports Speedway. Dean Reynolds trying to take that peak, but Lawson shuts the door, and Dino really wants to get that thing up into the top 3, but he's running out of time. Only going to have 3 laps to do it. And the Ant-Man, can he get some magic out of the back? Can he find a way to get around the 51? He's got 2.5 more laps to do it as the Ant-Man trying to search here through 3 and 4. Gets a good run off the top shelf there, side by side. Just such a long way around through 1 and 2, and Putt Putt doing such a good job of being smooth downstairs. But Anthony Morano takes a peek as the white flag flies there side by side. 1 lap to go. Anthony Morano trying to make this thing interesting. Final time through 3 and 4. Clay goes down there, shuts the door. Anthony's gotta be frustrated here, but Clay Christopherson holds on. Putt Putt brings home the checkered flag. Anthony Morano P2. Dylan Kinsey rounds out your Full Throttle Motorsports top 3. Brian Lawson P4. Dean Reynolds rounding out the top 5. Sam Bachman, Sean Green, Randy Shreves, Butch Baker, and Harold Klump. Your top 10, but Putt Putt does it once again here. Shoves him off the hill. He says, I'm king. And the 51 gets his own fireworks show and takes home the checkered flag here at Weed Sports Speedway. Great run for Full Throttle Motorsports once again. As you know, the boys are going to be happy with that. Let's see if we can go up here, find us a longer stint. And we'll see if we can get a word with the man who brought home P3, the 639 of Dylan Kinsey. There's nobody up here quite yet, so... Oh, Dylan, there he is. We'll bring the man up here. Well, Dylan, pretty good night for you, man. I know you'd like to get up there a little higher, but 2 podiums, you got to feel pretty good about leaving Weed Sport with 2 third place.
Yeah, I feel real good. Struggle a little bit at Big Block, but I think it was just a track, and I was surrounded by 358s. I was highest finished at Big Block tonight, so that's pretty good. But I just got to give a big shout out to Scott Rayholm for giving me that spot.
I am so embarrassed that I forget that this is a combo class. I didn't even think to talk about 358s being in here. I was thinking it was a big, only the big blocks. I really got caught napping there. So you say you're the highest finishing big block?
Yeah, Clay and Anthony were in small blocks, and Scott was in one. Logan was in a big block. I'm not sure what Sam had, and then I had a big block as well. So I don't know what Brian Lawson had. I'm not sure if he had a 358 or big block.
Well, now when you come in and you're running, the different strategy, or you pretty much were watching you go here in the beginning, you dedicated to that top shelf the whole time with all that power you have? Is it a little tough to woe that thing down and gather the throttle up coming off the corner on the bottom?
I actually didn't want to be up there. It's kind of forced up there for like half the race or something, because just from where I was restarting, and Scott was there. I didn't like the top at all with a big block. The line was just way too high. Even at the start of the feature, I think it was way too high. And once I had the chance to get to the bottom, I got there. And it's so different. Like Scott said, he was wide open at one restart, and I'm only half throttle, if that, on a restart, because it's just the track was slick. And then if you're in a big block, you got small blocks starting in front of you. You got to wait like a half a second, because they're going to be a little slower on the start. So it's a little, you just hope you know what's around you, because you got to change the way you drive if you're in a big block.
Well, man, you're able to do that. Defy the odds here. Bring home the P3. Like I say, double podium. Got to feel good, man. Who you want to thank?
Oh, yeah, all the guys at FTM, Gunnar at Swan Speed Shop, Dean Reynolds at Super Dirt Car, DJ for the wrap, you Shaggy for the broadcast. Shout out to Vecchio and AMR for sponsoring this big block race, and everyone at Coast to Coast makes it happen. And just got another quick shout out, Scott Rayholm, for giving me a Christmas present, giving me third.
Just rubbing it in on it.
A little bit.
Well, hey, Dylan, great job. And thank you for sponsoring my road, as I've lived on Kinsey Drive my whole entire life. That's where me and my wife live now. So, the least I can do for you sponsoring my road. But great run, Dylan.
Hey, anytime.
That's your P3 finisher, Dylan Kinsey. And now we're going to bring up the man who, so close. I mean, Anthony, we kind of saw you. It happened to you in the small blocks as well. Clearly a quick car, but, you're just kind of stuck where you're at. And as you were trying to move through the field in the small blocks, you got hit with that little hiccup, but able to hold on this time. But, man, that car looked real fast, and I think it would have looked a little quicker out front.
Yeah, not bad for a 358 in a big block race, right?
No, yeah, I'm so ashamed of myself. I forget that you can run both, and I didn't even know that until Dylan told me he ran the big block. I assumed all you guys were in the big block all night. I'm so ashamed.
Yeah, no, me and Clay were in 358s.
Yeah, so, I mean, now with that, are you kind of committed to align with the 358s? Or, I mean, we kind of heard Dylan tell us he didn't even like the high side in the big block just because it was such a long way around. So it's seeming like you guys definitely made the right call.
Yeah, the big block, it's a lot easier just to spin the tires here, and the track gets real slick. So pretty much every time we come here and there's an option, I take the 358. But I used the top a few times, and I was actually getting alongside of Clay there with a couple to go, and I blew it going into one, and then that was the end of that.
Yeah, you see it, you get side by side every now and then, but what's the treacherous thing? I mean, I know obviously you guys driving in there trail braking, but getting so low there into that wall, man, in 1 and 2, how tricky is that to do that lap after lap?
Well, I kind of nailed it going into turn 1 on the first lap in the 358 race. Kind of screwed myself up pretty bad there, but yeah, it's a lot of you got to really work the brake pedal and be very, very patient. Try to keep the car straight, and it's just it takes a little work there to try to get so you don't spin in the wheels, especially coming out of each corner. But 1 and 2 is definitely a treacherous place to be on the bottom.
Well, I mean, if anybody can do it, I know it's you and Putt Putt, and you led the way down there on the bottom. You put on a good show for the fans, as always, Anthony, and I know that's your goal. So great run, man. Good P2, another Full Throttle Motorsports sweep of the podium here. I know you got to be happy about that one as well, but congratulations, man. Who you want to thank?
First, I got to apologize to Logan there. I spun the tires coming out floor and slid up a little too high and kind of killed him there on the front stretch. But I've got to thank my wife Sherry, the boys over there at FTM, Dean at Super Durer Car, Logan at High Mom Lens, Expert Installation, Swan Speed Shop. Everyone that helps out here, Cowboy Flagstone, AMR, I think it is, and Justified for sponsoring the big blocks. Shaggy, you for doing a broadcast over at Coast to Coast.
Hey, man, too, I always tell you guys how I see it, and I know you guys are teammates and you feel bad about that one, but when you go back and look at it, he gets loose in the middle of 3 and 4, and he's kind of at the spot where you got to back out of that one. So I know you feel bad about that one, but wipe that blame away, man. You ran a good race, and you were in that P2, so I look forward to talking to you a lot more this season, Anthony.
All right, Shaggy, thanks a lot, buddy.
The Ant-Man bringing home P2, and now we get to talk to Putt Putt here. Clay Christopherson. Clay, you did exactly that, man. Putted this 358 along the bottom. Now we're watching one of these points, though, where you did have a hiccup, and you let the door open for the 32. What's going through your head, man, at that point in time? Were you worried you were going to lose the lead?
I don't know. I knew it was going to be side by side. I had a really good run in 1 and 2, and 3 and 4, I was kind of just trying to keep the car straight. I didn't have much of a drive off, especially in a 358, but I knew if I just held my line and kept the bottom on 1 and 2, I'd be okay. And it worked. It was a lot of trail on the brake. I think the brakes are pretty red now, so but yeah, it worked.
Yeah, now, obviously, both very important here, Clay, but at a racetrack like this, what is more important here, nailing your entry or making sure you got that car straight and you're getting as much grip as you can on corner exit? What do you try to focus on?
Entry for sure, because if your entry is bad, your exit's going to be bad here, especially in a kind of V-shaped track that you need to run this like. Yeah, you always got to, if your entry messes up, your exit's usually not going to be as good. So entry is everything here, at least the way I drive.
Yeah, man, and you basically just giving us a lesson here while we got the demonstration. I mean, when Anthony was under you here, he got a little tight on the entry of 3 and 4, and that just absolutely messed up everything. And it shows if you can keep that thing smooth like you did all night, it's tough to get around at Weed Sport. And well, Clay, congratulations, man. Big win here. Another Full Throttle Motorsports podium, but this time you lead the way. Congratulations. Who you want to thank?
Definitely all the guys at FTM. You guys for putting this on, and Swan Speed Shop for 358 and big block sets.
Well, hey, great run, Clay, and I look forward to a lot more of these interviews with you, Putt Putt.
Sounds good. Thank you.
That's your winner, Clay Christopherson in the 051. And man, another great night of racing here on the Coast to Coast Racing League. Thursday Night Thunder never disappoints. I mean, 230 car fields. What more can you ask for? And I mean, not a lot of cautions. I think 5 combined in the 2 races. So phenomenal driving from all these guys tonight. And on behalf of all the admins, Roger Craig, and everyone else here at Coast to Coast Racing League, at the Coast to Coast Racing League, we thank you for tuning in to the Coast to Coast Racing Network. I'm Zach Chapman with Shaggy TV signing off. Have a good evening.